There we go. Broadcasting. Okay, I'm going to do about 3 seconds here to let Zoom or let Facebook catch up with us because we're live streaming on Facebook. Sometimes it's kind of slow getting started there. Well, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of inspiration, hope, and support is proudly brought to you by the good guys at speakerspathway.com and the 6-Minute Webinar. We got 3 wonderful speakers for us today. We got a young lady who's going to kick us off and get us going. Her name is Mel Shipman. She's going to be talking about the story we tell ourselves. And then we're going to be followed by Carlos Parks will be with her. He's going to be talking about empathy. And then we got Mr. Edward Cook bringing up the rear. He's going to be talking about finish what you started. But first of all, let me share my screen with you and tell you a little bit about the 6-Minute Webinar. I got to look over this mic here. Everything's kind of high there for me. Oh, Rito. It's speakerspathwaycoalition.com. This is the homepage of Speakers Pathway. The reason that's important for you is that if you scroll down a little bit, you will see the Speakers Pathway Coalition is a proud sponsor of the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show. We have several speakers here. Just as example, you click on See More, and we have all of our speakers listed there individually. If you scroll down, you can see we got them there. There's pages and pages. And let me just click on Charlene Fouts right here. For example, if you see a speaker that you resonate with or they've got an interesting topic, just go right ahead and click on their picture and you can play the YouTube video there. She's talking about learning to fly after sexual trauma. It was really an emotional show when she was on with us and she shared a lot of information. And most importantly, if one of the speakers resonates with you, be sure and get in touch with them because they give their website and email address and all that, and let them know, say, hey, thank you. I really appreciated your message because they would really appreciate that. And most importantly, number 2, if you know someone that could benefit from the topics that you're looking at, please share it with them and let the speaker know because they would greatly appreciate that. Also, the 6-Minute Webinar. People ask me all the time, what in the world is the 6-Minute Webinar? The 6-Minute Webinar is your 24/7 ready, Freddy salesman, is what I say. And what I mean by that, I like to use Stephanie Dwayne. She's one of our members at the Speakers Pathway Coalition. She's a clinical hypnotist. And she's redoing her website right now, but she's got a 6-minute webinar on everything that she offers. Take, for example, like quit smoking. She helps people quit smoking. So she's got a little button there that says quit smoking. Boom, chicky boom. They click on that. The 6-minute webinar kicks in. It's got what she does, how she can help them. It's got a call to action, all those things within 6 minutes or less. And this is why, we say you get clarity on the problem you solve, the script, everything there. Most importantly, you can sell without even mentioning a word. The 6-minute webinar does all of that for you. So be sure and check it out. If it can help you, let us know. We'll be glad to visit with you about it. First of all, our first speaker, the young lady that's with us today. We always let ladies go first, especially when they're good looking like Mel is. And the story we tell ourselves. So Mel, let me do a couple things here. Let me unmute your mic, number 1. Number 2, let me give you the spotlight video. And I think you'll be able to share your screen. Come on now.
Yes.
Okay, let's see here. Let me I did something wrong here. I don't know what. This thing's been kind of goofy all day. There you go, Mel. Let me cut off my video and mute my mic and this.
Fantastic. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. My name is Mel Shipman. I'm a certified life purpose coach and the lead mindset coach for Dr. Cindy Stribling and the Born to be Powerful Academy. So I want to spend just a few minutes with you this morning to talk about self-limiting beliefs, which is something that I hear quite often with the clients that I work with in my work as a mindset coach. And I just want to go over how our core belief system has shaped the decisions that we've made, how it shapes the decisions that we don't make, and what can we do to remove those beliefs that no longer serve us, even if they're good ones. So the first thing I want to do is share a quote with you by Gandhi, actually. And I love this quote because he says that your beliefs become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And what's so great about this quote is that Gandhi literally chronicles the progression and the process and the power of thought, and how everything that we see in this world, whether it's out there in the world or in our own individual worlds, really comes from what we think to be true in our minds. So let's talk a little bit about what our belief system is in general. So you may know that between the ages of 0 and 8, in those formative childhood years, that's actually when our core belief system gets formed. So any sort of repeated experiences, maybe even some sort of traumatic or monumental experience, anything that happened in those initial 8 years really shapes our perception of the world, of ourselves, and our relation to the world. And so over the course of time, as a person begins to develop, that core belief system gets added onto. Some things might be taken out of it, but it also gets tested for many, many years to see whether or not you still believe those things to be true about yourself and of the world. So by the time you're in your mid-20s or maybe early 30s, you have a very firmly established sense of who you believe you are and what you believe is right and wrong about the world. So when you think about the impact of what our belief system has, it really does a lot of things. For example, it can help you define what you believe to be good, bad, right, wrong, what's true, and what's possible. It can help you decide the decisions that you end up making in your life. It can shape your character. It can affect the relationships that you have and how you show up in your relationships. But as a life purpose coach, one of the things that I emphasize is that your belief system can either harness or hijack your passion. So when you talk about those dreams you might have, that thing you want to go after, that life you want to create for yourself or your family, a lot of that is actually based on what you believe to be possible. So let's talk then about what self-limiting beliefs are. And to me, the way that I define self-limiting beliefs is that they are assumptions or perceptions that you have about yourself that hold you back from what you believe you are capable of achieving. And so just like we said that our core belief system helps shape the decisions that we make in life, they also shape the decisions we don't make in our life. And so when you think about self-limiting beliefs such as, I'm not good enough, I don't have all the money or the time, I'm too old to start something new, I don't have the skill set, I don't have the right connections or the right resources, I'm not loving, or I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not as good as somebody else, they can do it better. When you have beliefs ingrained in your belief system like that, they end up shaping the decisions that you don't make for your life. So if you have that dream to write that book, start that business, go back to school, find love in your life, whatever it is, all of the things that you see happening in your world is based on what you believe to be possible, but also what you believe to be not possible. And it's important when you think about self-limiting beliefs to understand where they actually come from. And unfortunately, sometimes our self-limiting beliefs start all the way back from our childhood. And one of the sources could be your own upbringing and who you had as parents. So for example, the way that I was brought up, while my parents are amazing people, and I certainly appreciate everything that they did to raise our family and their children, I grew up in an environment where there was a lot more criticism offered than there was praise or recognition. So I knew really well what I couldn't do well, but I didn't know as well what I could do well. And so I grew up spending the majority of my life being a people pleaser, being a perfectionist, because I was wanting to have that sense of validation and approval from others that I felt was lacking when I was growing up. And because of that, it shaped a lot of the decisions that I made because of what I believed to be true about myself, which was I wasn't good enough as I am. And if you see the picture on the screen here, you see this big scary wolf that's looming towards this adorable little girl. And you see that potentially that this wolf could be a danger or a threat or a problem or a challenge to the little girl. But the problem isn't the wolf. It's actually the little girl taking a picture of her challenge. Because sometimes our self-limiting beliefs come from moments that we have had in our lives, and the perception and the message that we take away from those moments, such as when you felt that you messed something up, you made a bad decision, you failed somehow. The message that we walk away from that moment, what we do is we take a picture of it, we store it in our memory, and it becomes part of the mental mixtape that we listen to every single day when we wake up and when we go to sleep. And so you really need to pay attention to all of the things that you feel are in your mind to be true about yourself, and figure out what exactly have you been taking pictures of in your mind to remember what you believe to be true about yourself. So when I talk about this with my clients, they're always like, okay, Coach Mel, well, what exactly do I do to get rid of these self-limiting beliefs? Because obviously they're not working for me, and they're making me really afraid to venture out and be brave and take that risk and do what it is that I really want to do with my life. And so here's some things that I recommend for my clients to begin doing. The first step is to identify the point of origin. You really have to understand where your self-limiting belief originated from. Who or what experience told you what you believe to be true about yourself? If you aren't good enough, if you'll never make it, if you'll never have the life that you want, if you are not capable of going after that big thing. The second thing that you need to understand is, how has this belief actually helped you get to where you are today? Because in some ways, the things that we believe to be true about ourselves, if they're self-limiting, might have made us more cautious or more aware of things and made us more careful in our decision-making. So in some way, it may have helped us get to where we are today. But the next question that I always ask my clients is, well, how does it hinder you from where you want to go? And that's usually where they get tripped up, because they see, oh my goodness, this is not aligning with what I want to see happening in my life. And then I would ask them, well, why are you letting the self-belief to be true still today? Once you understand who you are at your core and are authentic to your truth, you have to identify those beliefs that no longer serves you. And then you can begin to replace it with what is true about yourself and what you believe is possible for you. So I just want to spend the last few minutes, a few seconds I have with you with this one last quote, and that is to encourage you to stop telling your future, I can't do this right now, and start telling your now, I can't do this anymore. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. Really appreciate it. Hope you all are staying well. Take care and be blessed.
Would you be kind enough to share your email address and your website so they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I have a few. My coaching website is lifewithcoachmel.com, and my speaker's website is thevoiceofmel.com. If you want to send me a note, feel free to email me at mel, M-E-L, at lifewithcoachmel.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I tell you right now, let me unmute Carlos there, and I'm going to give Carlos a chance to turn on his, I'm sending a request to turn on his video. Carlos, I tell you right now, that young lady, she's gonna be tough to follow, isn't she, brother?
Oh, that was outstanding. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be tough to follow. I don't have a presentation. I didn't know I could share my screen. So,
Oh, yeah.
but hey, that was great. I,
Mhm.
Outstanding job. I wish I'd have went first.
I hear you. I know what you mean. I'm just glad I'm the host. I don't have to say anything intelligent because that's a real struggle for me sometimes.
Man, that
But
was great.
Mel, we want to thank you so much for being here and being with us. I know you got appointments going to be leaving, but before you go, I just want to let you know and say thank you from Speakers Pathway Coalition. Don and I, we created Speakers Pathway Coalition, and Bill Heinrich and Don and I, we created the 6-minute webinar. But the reason why the messages of inspiration and hope and support show has been so good is because of great guests like you.
Oh, thank you.
All of our guests. I mean, just blows me away, and I feel very honored to be sitting here and being able to just facilitate over the show and listen to you folks share your wonderful information. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, if you know of someone that can actually benefit from Mel's message, please get in touch with Mel, and I know she'd love to hear. How would it make you feel, Mel, if someone says, "Hey, I heard your message and thank you so much"? I mean, what would that mean to you?
It would help me to actually reaffirm what I'm supposed to be doing in this world, was to help people shift their thinking so that they can walk into their destiny. As a life purpose,
Absolutely.
yeah, as a life purpose coach, you want to see people living out the life that they were called to live. So if it means shifting their thinking and seeing what's possible, and then believing that they are possible and creating that would just mean the world to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean, because helping people get from where they are to where they want to be, that's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And if someone shared it with another person and says, "Hey, I gave it to my cousin," or someone that I know, and that'd be a double blessing, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Let's spread the good stuff.
There you go. There you go. That's what this world really needs. We need to share more love and for one another and appreciation for one another, because right now we got all this meanness and ugliness going on. And I tell people that doesn't come from what I believe in. It doesn't come from the throne of God. It comes from the gates of hell. And I'm just being upfront about it, because anytime you try to destroy things, destroy people and all that, and tear them down, that's just wrong on all fronts.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to turn this into, and I'm not going to pass a collection plate, so you don't worry about that. But it's so important for us to share love and support for one another. And like I tell people, when I graduated from high school in 1967, the #1 song that was popular that week on the charts was a song by Aretha Franklin. And she knew I was in high school, so she spelled it out for me. It's called R-E-S-P-E-C-T. She probably figured I'd struggle with that one. But I tell you, I could just go on and have more fun with you. But I got to give Carlos a chance to be able to share his message of empathy. And let me, Carlos, let me do this. Let me give you the spotlight, sir.
Okay.
And let me cut off my video and my mic, and the stage is yours.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to listen to my message about empathy. My name is Carlos Parks, and I'm coming to you from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker. I'm a real estate agent. I'm an artist, as you can see by my paintings behind us. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm a human. I came to you to talk to you about empathy today. By definition, what is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. The first thing that said was empathy is an ability. So this is something that we all have the ability to do, is empathize. An ability is like a superpower, being empathetic, to have empathy, because not everyone possesses this power. How can you feel for a person if you can't feel like that person? So the definition said the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. To share the feelings of another is the hard part. I'm guilty of this. I'm not pointing fingers. There was a time when I didn't empathize with others. I saw other situations as their situation, That's not me. That's not going to affect me because I'm not like them. I looked at other people as thems and me as myself. I had a very narrow view of the world. My view changed when I was incarcerated for 30 years. I actually did 17 years of that 30 years, but it was during this term of incarceration that I had an eye-opening moment. I had decided I was going to cause some physical damage to an individual who was my cellmate. My only reason for doing it was because he had 5 years and I had 30. And I was bitter. I was mad at the world. I was mad at him because he cried every day about his 30 years. And I hung out with a lot of guys who had life sentences. And it was during our discussion, I was telling what I was going to do to this guy. And one of the guys told me, he went off on me. You need to be glad that you have an out date because I don't have one. His release date was when he was dead, deceased, and in a box. And the way he told me, I had to step back for a second and think about that. And that is when I had an epiphany and I started to look at other people's situations because I was so busy feeling sorry for myself that I didn't realize there were people who would love to have what I had, and that was an out date or exit date. So I began to empathize with this guy, Big L, and all of the other guys who had life sentences around me. I looked at it like, they're never going home. And I might be going home in 2026, but I'm going home. It was at that point I started to just look at everyone, and I look at everyone's situation, even the guy who had 5 years who I couldn't stand. There was a reason why he cried every day. I didn't know why he cried. So empathy is being able to put yourself in the shoes of another and see things how they see things, not just looking at the world through your narrow lens. Empathy is huge. Empathy is the greatest showing of love you can offer to a person. Empathizing with an individual, and I don't want to repeat the word over and over, but it's that significant. It's, again, like I say, it's the greatest showing of love. I have a friend of mine was in a car wreck. No fault of his own. He was driving down the highway with his teammate. He was a college basketball player. And my friend, who we'll call Sugar Ray, that was his nickname, he was hit by some drunk drivers. Drunk drivers flew off the overpass. Car landed in front of Sugar Ray's car, going down the highway. He hit the car, killed everyone in the car in front of him, everyone in the car behind him that wrecked into his, and the one person that was in the car with him. Sugar Ray was the only survivor of that accident. Sugar Ray suffered from something they call survivor's remorse. Survivor's remorse is when you feel bad that you lived through something that others didn't. Survivor's remorse is a show of empathy. Sugar Ray could not live with the fact that he made it. His friend who was driving his car did not make it. The people in the car behind him did not make it, and the people who caused the wreck did not make it, but he did. And instead of feeling as if, oh yes, I survived, he empathized with the people who didn't. He empathized with the families who lost their loved ones. He didn't think about the fact that he lost the usage of his legs, the fact that he was in a coma for months. Sugar Ray was suicidal at one point. He contemplated suicide. He did not go forward with it, but he contemplated it because he felt so bad about the lost lives. That is a perfect example of empathizing with others. So empathy prevents me from feeling sorry for myself because I know that there are people who are doing worse. I was fortunate enough to have my sentence reduced, which from 30 years to 20 years, which is why I did 17 years. I still feel bad because I left guys behind. I cannot get over the fact that there are individuals still living in those walls. I feel it's our obligation and duty as society, as citizens, as humans, to empathize with those people. There have been people executed who they later found out were innocent. There have been people incarcerated for decades who they later found out were innocent. Empathy will bring a change to our criminal justice system. When we stop looking at people as them and start looking at other individuals as you would look at yourself, when we start trying to walk in the shoes of our brothers and sisters who are faced with unbelievable obstacles, then we will better understand them. Until we try to walk in their shoes and see the world as they see it, we will never get it. We will never understand why Black Lives Matter. We will never understand why people march, because we're not marching. But why is that? It's because you don't have to. You're not in a position where you have to. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't feel for those who do. That doesn't mean that you don't have an obligation as a human being to these individuals who are going through obstacles and troubles in their lives. Empathy is what I feel we are lacking as a society. And that if we were to apply it more, I try, again, I'm not pointing the finger, but when was the last time you tried to walk a mile in someone else's shoes? When was the last time you thought about why that man had that sign up asking for change? Are you one of the ones who just point at them and consider them? Or do you try to figure out what the situation is? Have you ever had a conversation with any of these individuals and asked them, how did you get into this situation? As a peer support specialist, I had to work with individuals with mental health issues. I had to work with people with substance abuse issues. I had to learn to understand. I had to learn to empathize with their situations in order to help them out of them. As a society, as humans, we need to do the same thing. I don't care if you know a person. If you try to see the world as they see it, you will better understand them. I am a member of the Deli Eagle Speakers Bureau, and we say at the end of meetings, a saying, when we can see beneath the evil, all the golden grains of good, then we will love each other better when we are better understood. I thank you for your time. Have a blessed day.
Oh, that's a very powerful message there. Really, when you were talking about your life and all that, you really reeled me in, because you've got a tremendous opportunity now to be able to share your story with others and help others get from where they are to where they want to be. And that's extremely important. And when you were talking there about Walk a Mile in My Shoes, it reminded me of a 1969 hit, #1 hit by a guy by the name of Joe South. And it was Walk a Mile in My Shoes Before You Criticize and Accuse.
Wow, that's right. That's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. It certainly is, because so many times in life, we may say or think something, and then later on we hear the other side of the story from the person and go like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's we got to be able to show love and compassion. In fact, one of our executive training directors, Bill Heinrich, he's all about getting out of the physical, getting into love, because that's where abundance is.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a free gift. You might you go ahead, or someone out there listening would like to have it. It's called Clarity Has No Story. Getting clarity in your mind. and you can get it at myfreebook.me.
My free book. Okay.
Me. Yeah, Bill Heinrich is one of our executive training directors, and he helps us on the radio show. And Bill will not chase you down and try to get on an email list and be a pen pal with you or anything like that. It's called Clarity Has No Story, myfreebook.me, because he sent it to me, and it's really helped me a lot. And Bill is also the author of the 7 Levels of Truth. And like Bill says, about 25 years ago, actually might be a little longer than that, but it's given 25 years of research in changing his life. He said, because at one time I was miserable and I had to walk away from my life, my family, my everything. And he literally picked up the pieces, and now he lives in love and abundance. And he's really an amazing guy. He really is. And me and Don, we enjoy visiting with him. And because like in your particular situation, my goodness gracious, that's a tough row to hoe. I mean, knowing when someone tells you what time, when you're going to eat and when you can go out to exercise and all that. I mean, that's like Merle Haggard. We had Marty Haggard on our radio show. He's the oldest son of Merle. And Merle was just a young kid that made some very bad choices.
Yeah.
He was just wild and, a lot of people think he came from poverty. Not true. Even during the Depression, Merle's dad was able to buy a new car every year, so it wasn't that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so it wasn't poverty. But Marty was saying that, his dad was just, going to live things the way he was. But he finally got tired. He had a guy who was doing life there. And the guy's name was Rabbit. And Rabbit figured out a way to escape. And Merle says, I want to go with you. And he says, no, you're not. He said, you got too much talent. Besides that, I'm crossing a road and I'm never coming back. And he thought a lot about the young man, saw that even though he was a 3-time loser, as they call it in prison, person doing life, he just said, no. And Merle, Marty tells a story how his dad got out of jail in 1960. In 1972, he went to the White House. Merle's family and the kids are all up there and they're entertaining the president. He says, so my dad, only an American, go from the jailhouse to the White House in 12 years.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
It took a total change in his life, and he really appreciated his freedoms. And that's what we all should do, is appreciate the abundance and love that we're blessed with every day. And, share that love and blessings with others and help one another.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. And I really admire you for, the path that you walked down and how you were able to, change your life and how you could now look at someone with different eyes than you did before.
Yeah.
And you were relating about, the guilt complex and things like that. I can relate to that because I survived Vietnam when others didn't.
Okay.
And that can weigh on a person very, very,
very
very
right.
heavy.
Yeah. Survival.
That's one of those things.
Remorse.
Yep. And it's one of those things where you don't want to really talk about it to anybody,
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt anymore. And I'm grateful for that. And we got to make sure Edward didn't go out back and let me unmute Edward there and bring him on board and give you a chance to cut your video on there. Edward, did you get your video request turned off, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Carlos,
oh my goodness.
Man. That was really good.
Oh,
Thank
that was
you,
a
Edward.
riveting story. Really was.
So I just did a TED talk and I couldn't, Ted owns the right to that speech. So I had to be careful not to mix the two. So at one point, I was towing the line. So I'll say that. So but I successfully kept kept my TED away from this.
Yeah.
But,
I hear you. One of my, Don McGrath, I call him Dandy Don McGrath. He's really the speaking geek. Don loves to help people. So
he emailed
get
me.
In touch with, did he?
Yeah, he emailed me.
I'll tell you right now, Don McGrath is the friend that you haven't met yet.
Oh yeah.
That's the best way. That's the best way I can describe him to you. He's got a heart of gold. He loves helping speakers fine tune their speech. And, just tell him I sent you there, and he'll give you a 30-minute free consultation and go over some things with you. And, tell him from me,
Yeah.
45 minutes. He'll give it to
All
you.
right, got you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he may take it out of my salary, but that's okay. I'm just kidding you. Most important thing in life is to have fun and, treat people and share blessings with others. So you have an opportunity there to share a couple things with you. And of course, speaking with Don, once you speak with Don, you're gonna see what I meant about it. He is the friend that you've never met yet. I mean, this guy he's just rock solid. He's a speaking geek. He loves that. And he takes to speaking like a duck does to water.
Wow.
I mean, that's just who he is. He loves doing that.
Well,
But Edward,
I appreciate the opportunity. I didn't. I found out yesterday that I would be given the opportunity to speak today, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to ask for an extension. I'm a former Toastmaster, and we're trained to be ready to go at any minute. So
There
I
you
just
go.
came up with a topic, something that I felt was dear to me, something that needed to be discussed.
Oh,
and, yeah, and I went from there.
absolutely. I'll tell you right now, your message was tremendous because you could reach out there and touch a lot of people that I can't touch and many other people cannot touch. That's your
Right.
special gift. That's who you are. I tell people, look at your fingerprints. No one's ever had your fingerprints in your life before, or since the beginning of time, the end of time. The challenge in life is how can you leave your imprint on someone else to help them in their hour of need to better their life. That's why we're here. It's not about physical things. We're not going to take them with us anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah.
Like the old saying, you don't see a Brinks truck following a hearse to the graveyard.
Yeah.
I'm going to share one more joke because we got a little bit of time before I bring up. I got about 30 seconds left. This guy, he died and he's very well to do and he wanted to be buried with all of his money because he didn't want his wife to spend it. And so I had all the money in the casket there with him. And the wife goes in there and she's got another fellow there and they're taking the money out and put it in bags. And the funeral director comes out and says, hey, what are you doing there? He says, the attorney's going to have a fit when he sees that. She says, well, don't worry about it. I left him a check. Oh my goodness.
Man.
We could have fun here all day, but Edward,
Yeah.
I got to bring you on board here and give you the spotlight
Uh-oh.
because you're going to be talking to
Time.
us. Hey, how you doing, Edward? You're going to be talking to us about finish what you started. And my goodness gracious, I know there's a lot of people out there that need to hear that because I'm in the same category. A lot of things that I start, I just don't finish. So let me do two things, sir. Let me cut off my video and mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
Don, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, the Speakers Coalition Pathway, for having me today. My name is Ed Cook Jr. I am a pastor. I am an author. I am a playwright. And finally, I am an accountability coach. But the most important thing that I think I do is I help to build people. The question that I have for each one of you today is this. If I can tell you definitively that today would be your last day on this planet, what would you do? What would you think about? Where would you go? What are some of the thoughts that'll come to your mind? See, I had to ask myself that exact same question. What would you do? What would you think about? Think about the relationships that you have. See, I wasn't thinking about what I would actually buy or what I actually have purchased. I started thinking about relationships that I built, thinking about people that I helped. But the three words that really stuck out in my mind when I had to ask myself that question is would've, could've, and should've. You see, would've, it speaks to my conditions. I would have done this if I had the time, if I had the money, if I had the clients, if I had the support. I look back in my life and say, I should have done this. But you know what should have speaks to? It speaks to our fear. It speaks to things that I should have done this, but my fear kept me from doing it. I was more afraid of the unknown than I was of just walking in it. I got up, I ran from what I was supposed to do, and I look back and I say, I should have. And the final thing that comes to my mind is what I could have done. See, when I say I could have done this, I had the time, I had the means, I had the money, I had the opportunity, and I simply didn't take it. And so I looked at my would-haves, I looked at my should-haves, and I looked at my could-haves, And it all came back to one word, and that word is regret. You see, too many people, if they were on their last day, they would regret more than what they would look back and regret what they didn't do and not look so much at what they did do. You see, I was an athlete and I remember all the losses. I can tell you 20 years ago, the last play in my final high school game, the shot that beat us at the buzzer. And I can remember that, but I don't remember all the wins. I remember everything that I regret. You see, regret has torment. Regret, it laughs at you. It pokes at you. Regret shows you all the opportunity that you had that you didn't take. Regret shows you all the things that you didn't fear that you did fear that you shouldn't have feared. Regret makes you think, man, I would have and I could have and I should have done that. You see, I believe every one of us, before we got here, we had an assignment. I believe every one of us has purpose. I believe every person has a reason for being here. And sometimes you hear it in things, you see it in things that you notice, and sometimes you hear it in that still small voice that keeps talking to you and reminding you of why you're here. You see, I look back at my own life and I say, finish what you started, because if I look at myself, I'm the classic starter. If you want something started, I am your guy. If you want something finished, I may not be that person. I'm a classic starter and a horrible finisher. And you have people out here in their purpose. You're walking in your purpose. You see your purpose. You see things. And some of us have never even started it. And I want to encourage you today. Go ahead and start it. See, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So take that first step to get started. But here's the other thing. There's so many of us that have started. We've taken a few steps, but we haven't finished. You see, I want to encourage you to finish what was started in you. See, life is like a baton. It's like a race. You ever watch a relay race? And you see those batons and you see the first person handed to the next person and the next person handed to the next person. It took all four of those people to get to the finish line. What I'm saying right now is somebody is out there waiting on you to finish so they can start. See, it's a relay race that we're handing to the next generation. It's a relay race that we're handing to our children. It's a relay race that we're handing to our community. And too many of us are starting, but we simply aren't finishing. So my challenge to each and every one of us today, what have you started that you need to finish? You don't want to live life with your would've, could'ves, and should'ves. So part of who I am, and part of what God has really made me to do is say, hey, here's two things that I've called you to do. I've called you to say, hey, I want you to make sure that people are ready to see me when it's their time. And I want them to be able to maximize their rewards when they get there. How do I maximize my rewards when I get there? By finishing what you started, because he put something in you before you were even born. And now it's our job to discover it. And then it's our job to finish what he's put into us. And so that's why I do the things I do. I am also an accountability coach. What does that mean? Hey, a lot of us need accountability to get to the end. A lot of us need somebody walking with us to help us walk step by step by step, making sure that we stay on top of it. See, when we do things in group, we're more likely to finish something that we're doing with a group because of that accountability than we are doing it if we were left to our own means. So I just want to encourage you guys to finish what was started in you. You can contact me at www.edcookjr.com. You can email me at support@edcookjr.com. I would love to hear from you. I would love to help you finish what was started in you. Thank you.
Wow, that is quite a presentation you did there, my man. I'll tell you right now, that's, I really enjoyed what you said there. You know, it's very, let me redo this thing here. This thing, let me go to the gallery view here. Here we go. And let's see, here we go. Try to work these buttons here. There we go. We're doing better now. Anyway, your message about, you know, was very, very powerful. My goodness. And accountability, because one of the most important things in life is being accountable for your act and being honest with yourself when you fall short,
Right.
really. It really is. And I tell you, it's just, it blows me away how a lot of people run from accountability. They, when they fail at something, they don't want to admit it. They hope no one else sees it and all that. But that really keeps you enslaved. You don't grow.
Right.
And, I really resonate with your message there. It's just really incredible. We've had 3 incredible speakers today. The other 2 already had to take off and go because they had prior commitments. But like Mel Shipman this morning with the story we tell ourselves, and then empathy with Carlos. I mean, my goodness gracious. And then yours here is finish what you started. This is just pow, pow, pow. And the reason I mention that, because Edward, you're very familiar with this, I know. When you're doing the right thing and the love and energy is flowing, that's how those topics came together. It had nothing to do with
Absolutely.
It had nothing to do with us. I wish I was that smart, but I'm not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
topics came together perfectly. And, it's funny. I originally signed up for yesterday and then there was miscommunication. And then I ended up being able to come on today, or I was able to come on today, and to just be able to flow with Mel and Carlos like that. And all 3 of those messages just go right together.
They really do.
You know that there is a divine influence on all of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm just, it just amazes me because I see this happen over and over and over again, because it's like a 1, 2, 3 punch, 1, 2, 3 punch. And I mean, it's really incredible because, the message of inspiration, hope, and support, Edward, when we first started this, it was when the pandemic first came on board, and we were kind of looking like, okay, we're going to have some people that's, they're going to be stuck in their house, and a lot of people are getting lonely, and some people want to get in, they automatically are putting themselves in solitary confinement.
Right.
And we looked at this, and we had a meeting with our executive training directors, and Bill Heinrich was one that says, hey, let's just put on a show of messages of inspiration and hope and support. And that's how it came about. And it's just grown from there. And this thing has got, all we do, we just go through the motions, but we let the energy, and we're just the servants here. That's all.
Yes.
That's
Yes, sir.
all. That's it in a nutshell. And I tell you right now, would you be kind enough again to share your website with us, please?
Absolutely. My website is www.edcookjr. That's EDCOOK Jr.com. And email address is support@edcookjr.com.
Great. We're going to wind up the show here, ladies and gentlemen. And before we do, I always like to close the show to wish everyone out there, all you birthday boys and all you birthday girls, a very happy birthday. And remember, on your birthday, that all birthday cakes and all special desserts that you love, those are health foods. So love yourself, treat yourself, and have a wonderful day. Ed, thank you so much. So glad you're here. Give you a chance to wave bye to everybody, and take care and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Ed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.